Zoom. Recording. You are muted. Press Alt A to unmute. Close button. Continue without audio button. Close. Unmute myself button. Screen share meeting controls window. Mute. Stop share. Alt S.
Hello. Okay, so we are in the
Audio now unmuted.
magical world of Zoom, and I am going to now be
Inbox. Zoom.
sharing my screen with you. And what we're looking at the Gmail inbox in standard view. Now I went ahead and created my a new email here. This is delgadilloaccess@gmail.com. This is the email that I'm using for my podcast. And I thought it'd be a good opportunity, since this inbox is basically clean for now, to kind of show you how to go about setting everything up and using standard view. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first thing that you need to do when you get into Gmail is you need to enable keyboard shortcuts. Now, keyboard shortcuts are turned off by default, but Google implements such a wide array of different shortcuts that once you turn them on, it's going to be a completely different experience for you in using Gmail. So let's navigate to the settings and do that together. The way to get to the settings, I think the fastest, if you're a screen reader user, is just navigate by button until you get to settings. You can also do a search. So I'm going to do NVDA key plus JAWS. I'm sorry, NVDA key plus Control plus F.
Find dialog. Type it.
And search for settings. And it has put me on the settings button. Now the settings button acts a little unreliably. Sometimes it'll take you to where you want to go, and sometimes nothing will happen. So let's see what happens the first time I click it. I clicked on it and see nothing was spoken at all. Let me go to the bottom of the page, just because I know from previous experience that that's where this information shows up. And it indeed did show up. The settings are down here now at the bottom of our page. It's a little unwieldy, for sure. But from here, what we want to do is we want to find the button that says See All Settings. And the way to get there the fastest is from the bottom of the page. Let's just navigate by button, and we'll use the Shift key and B together and just keep going. Here, See All Settings. There it is. So we're going to click on that. And now we are in the full settings interface. We have a ton of different options that we can select here. We are in a tabbed view. And if we just arrow up and down, we should... well, okay. If we tab through this list, we'll hear the different categories that are available to us. We have general, we have labels, inbox, and a couple of other ones. Right now, just for these first few steps, we're going to be focusing specifically on the general tab. Now that I've selected the tab that I want, I'm going to hit NVDA key and space. And we're going to get back into the browse mode. Now, all of the different settings are in a table view. So if you are not super proficient with tables, the best way to do this is once you're in the table, you can navigate to the next column with Control Shift right arrow. And you can navigate to the next row with Control Alt down arrow. Now, if you want to get into, say, there's an edit field in this table, you can get to that by using your tab key. Okay, so let's get out of this table, actually. And let's get to the shortcuts. And let's do that with the quick NVDA search command once again. So we will use NVDA plus Control plus F. And let's type shortcut.
Clickable main landmark table 33 rows and 2 columns, rows 24, column 1 shortcuts.
And here we have
Column 2 radio button, magic keyboard shortcuts off. Column 1 keyboard.
keyboard shortcuts. And then in the right column, we have a series of radio buttons.
Column 2 radio button, magic keyboard shortcuts off, radio button, check keyboard shortcuts on, keyboard shortcuts on. Edge of table, radio button, column 1 keyboard shortcuts, link learn more about keyboard shortcuts.
There's also a link where you can learn more about keyboard shortcuts. I'll show you how to access that without having to leave the Gmail interface in just a moment. Since I have already actually done this, the keyboard shortcuts are currently set to on already. But if you are doing this for the first time, they're going to be off.
Learn more about keyboard shortcuts link. Keyboard shortcuts off, keyboard shortcuts on, row 24, column 2, table, keyboard.
And you can toggle them.
Table, keyboard shortcuts off, row 1, column 1, keyboard shortcuts off, radio button, check 1 1.
You go to the radio button, you tab in, and now you can just go left or right. Right now it's back to off. Let's go back to the left.
Table, keyboard shortcuts on, row 1, column 1, keyboard shortcuts on, radio button, check 1.
And they're on again. And the last thing to remember about the Gmail settings is that before you can go back to your inbox, you have to save the changes that you've made. They're not applied automatically. So the way to do that is let's just go down to the end of the page with Control plus End.
Table toggle button, press show side panel.
And then let's just use Shift B until we get back to the save button.
Main landmark clickable table 33 rows and 2 columns, row 33, column 1 through 2 navigation landmark cancel button. Save changes button available.
There you go, save changes. And actually, since I didn't make any changes, the setting button is grayed out. So, but if you had actually made the change yourself, then this button would be clickable, and clicking it would take you back to your Gmail inbox. So let's imagine that we have now enabled the settings for shortcuts.
Settings, locality system, blank. Settings, locality system, mail.com, clickable, unselected, clickable, visit link, skip the content, collapse, visit link, banner landmark button, expanded main menu, visit mail.
And let's just
Mail, blank.
click back over
Inbox 2.
here to Gmail.
Inbox. No reply, verify ownership of receiving accessibility.
Okay. And I have been placed directly into my list of messages in my inbox. Now let's start to review some of the shortcuts that we can use right here in the Gmail inbox now that we have enabled them in settings. So the first shortcut that I really like to use a lot is very easy, and it's one that we use in all of our email clients. This is how we interact with multiple emails at once. So you're going to want to go to the email that you want to click on, that you want to highlight, and then we press the X key.
X, selected, unread, no reply, your podcast is leaving accessibility is now on Amazon.
One thing that I forgot to note here at the beginning of this module is that when you are in the inbox for Gmail and you want to look at your emails, the best way to do this is to turn your cursor off. So if you're using NVDA like I am, you would simply turn off your browse mode. And if you're using JAWS, you would turn off your PC cursor. So I've done that here in NVDA. I have it configured to do it automatically. If you don't, you can get into this mode by pressing NVDA key plus space. In JAWS, it is JAWS key plus Z. Okay, so getting back to these shortcuts.
No reply, selected, unread, no.
We're able to select our messages with X, and we're able to also delete,
X, unread,
or
no.
I'm sorry, unselect them. Let's re-highlight this.
Selected.
Another couple of shortcuts you can do is delete with Shift 3.
X, number. No reply, verify ownership of receiving accessibility.
Let's say that was an accident. We can bring it back with the Z key.
Z, action done.
If we
Save.
want
No reply, verify ownership of receiving
to,
accessibility. Unread, no reply.
for example, let's not. For example, if we want to select all of the emails on this page, we can hit asterisk, so that's Shift 8 followed by the A key. So let's try that.
Star. A. Selected, unread, no reply, your podcast. Selected, no reply.
And now you see if you arrow down,
Selected, day 2. Selected, unread, Google.
all of your emails here are actually selected now. And we can just unselect them all
Star.
with the same
A.
command.
4 selected.
That's Shift 8 followed by the letter A.
Selected, no reply, verify. Selected, unread.
Oh, so it
Selected,
didn't work that time. I think it may have done it too slowly.
Star. A. 4 selected.
There.
Selected. Selected. A.
Oh, 3.
Star. A. 4 selected. Selected. No. Selected. Blank. Clickable visit links to.
Let me see.
Selected. Unread. Content info lamp. Table. Tab control. Content info landmark. 0 GB 15. Main landmark. Primary property page. Table. Selected. Unread. Google. Selected. Day 2. Testing. November 29th. Hello. Test was received on Wednesday, November 29th.
All right. So
Star.
let's try this
A.
one more time.
4 selected. Selected. No. Selected. Day 2. Testing. No. Star. Tab A. Selected. No reply.
Well, we'll review this in a second, but apparently, the command is not a toggle the way I thought it was. But let's actually look at that now. So we can go ahead and open a list of the shortcuts that are available to us by using the question mark key. So that is shift and slash.
Question. Alert the following keyboard shortcuts are currently enabled. Disable. Disable.
And now these shortcuts are being presented to us here. Oops. All right, just
Open
lost.
the new window.
There we go.
Alert the Open the new window link.
I lost my speech, as you can tell, which for a blind user is the equivalent of your monitor just going black. So that threw me off for a second, but we're back now.
Link close. Table 1 rows and 2 columns. 01.
And in this table view, we can look at the different shortcuts that are available to us in Gmail.
Google Workspace side panel. Column 2 node. Compose and chat. Row 2 focus main window. Row 3 focus link.
We can do quite a bit of things with the Google Workspace and the side panel. Just to save you from getting too overwhelmed, we're not going to learn about that in this module. We'll learn about that a little bit later. But if you are eager to learn about it sooner rather than later, please just drop me a request in the comments.
No next heading. Row 4 column 1 control. Screen sharing. Stop share. Alt S button. Unmute audio with Alt A or press and hold to space key to temporarily unmute alert. Expand screen share preview button. Stop share. Alt S button. Expand. Stop share. Alt S. Inbox. 2 audio. Row 4 compose and chat Google Workspace side panel. Column 2 advanced index.
So
no next heading. Row 5 compose and chat Google Workspace. Row 1 column 2 table 32 rows and 2 columns. Row 1 column.
each table is its own
Out of table row 1 column 1 table 20. Out of table row 1 column 2 table 32 rows and 2 columns. Row 1 column 1 space. Column 2 node and formatting.
So here we've got the formatting section.
Row 2 column 1 space.
We've got all the formats that you can do, and it's your typical shortcut for word processing, like bolding, italicizing,
row 4
undo, redo.
Row 5.
The same typical patterns that you would expect.
Table 1 rows and 2 columns. Row 2 TNI. Row 1. Edge of table, blank, edge of table, blank.
This
out of
is
table, node, table 1 rows and 2 columns, row 1 column 1 table, 37 rows and 2 columns, row 1 column 1 space. Free list selection navigation application column 2 node and jumping.
And jumping around, I'll show you this in a second, but you can refer back to all of these shortcuts.
Row 2 go to inbox.
So G then I would go to your inbox.
Row 3 go to start conversations.
G then S goes to your starred conversations.
Row 4 go to snooze conversations. Column 1 G then D.
G then B goes to your snooze conversations.
Row 5 G then T.
G then T goes to your sent, and so on and so on. You can look at all of your different shortcuts here when you press the question mark key from anywhere in Gmail. So let's go ahead and get out of here because I remember these shortcuts and I can tell them to you.
Main landmark, primary property page.
So we're back in the Gmail inbox. This is, I would say, kind of your home base when you're using Gmail. So if you're anywhere else in Gmail and you feel lost, you feel like I want to get back to a place that's familiar, you can always press G followed by I to get back to your inbox. Now, you got to make sure that the PC cursor is turned off, or if you're using NVDA, that your browse mode is turned off before you do that. Mine is. I just used NVDA key plus space. And now I can use the shortcuts as I wish. So I'm going to press G and I.
Selected, unread, no reply, your podcast is accessibility.
And as you see, I'm back in my podcast, in my inbox. I was already there, so it wasn't too much of a struggle. Okay. The next thing I want to show you
selected, unread, no reply, your podcast is accessibility is now dot. More menu button, expanded submenu.
Is when you press period, when you have some emails selected, and then you press period, it shows you a context menu. Think of when you press F10 on Windows. And you have a list of all the things that you can do, and you can just arrow through those.
Mark is unread. Mark is important. Mark is not important. Add star.
So you've got things like mark is important, add star. You can filter messages like these, which is a very powerful feature that we'll go into in a different video.
Mute. Forward attachment.
You can mute.
Mark is red. Mark is unread.
And we're back to the top. Let's escape and get out of this list.
More menu button, left submenu. Section. Selected. Unread. Lower.
And let me show you one more
Selected.
very important command before we actually start to review emails. This is the search command, the all-important search in Gmail. We simply press the / key.
Slash. Banner landmark. Search landmark.
Now, this will seem familiar to you if you've used Google search with a screen reader, or if you've used Google Drive or YouTube. One of the things that Google has done consistently across all of its platforms is use the / key to access search. So I enjoyed that immensely. And you can search for anything here. Let's search for my name because I know I sent myself an email a few days ago.
Section. Main landmark table. Day 2. Testing November 29.
And there is me with my one search result. Now, like I said, there are so many different ways to filter these search results. Break it down by date, by attachment. You can customize a range of sizes that you want to search between. I mean, it's super powerful, and there's a lot you can do in standard view that you are not able to do in HTML view. Now, the last thing that I want to show you today is simply what it looks like when you open an email. So let's go ahead and go back to my inbox.
Main landmark. Selected. No reply. Verify. Unread. No reply. Your podcast is muted. Day 2. Testing November 20.
I sent myself a test message a few days ago. So let's just go ahead and open that message now. I'm going to press enter.
Main landmark. Testing heading level 2. Conversation open. 2 messages. All messages read.
Now, sometimes this will depend on your custom screen reader settings. Usually, your screen reader's PC cursor or browse mode will automatically turn on. I tend to use a lot of websites that depend on forms mode, so I turn that setting off. So let's go back into browse mode now, so that we can review the email the way we would review any typical HTML. So let's turn this on with NVDA key plus space. And now, a little trick for you to know. Let's just go back to the top of the page.
Conversation open. 2 messages. All.
When you want to look, you want to jump directly to your email content.
Clickable. Conversation open. 2 messages. Clickable. Visit link. Skip the content.
There is a skip to content button.
Clickable. Main landmark. Testing heading level 2.
Right there.
Buttons. Heading level 2. Testing.
But you can also
Conversation open.
bear this in mind. The start of your email content will always be denoted with a level 3 heading, and it will be the first level 3 heading on the page.
Clickable. Main landmark. List with global analysis. Mail com heading level 3.
And so there it is. That's the first email.
November 29. Check out button. Menu today. Menu buttons. Hello. Text was received.
And this is actually my response to the email. One thing that Gmail does when you open a message that you've seen before is it will actually hide all of the messages that you have already read, so that the only thing you're seeing is the most recent response that you have not yet viewed. The way to get around this and expand the email so that you have the entire view. Say if you're working in a thread that has like 45 to 50 messages and you need to go back up and refer, you would do that by turning your cursor off again
List.
and then pressing semicolon.
Semi. Testing heading level 2.
That expands the thread so you can see all of the
Testing heading level 2.
messages.
Clickable. List with
So you can see here that from my personal email, I went ahead and sent this message.
Menu button. Sub menu.
Testing, and then it has my signature.
Clickable.
Let's explore this window.
Click testing heading level 2.
Let's go back up to the heading with the subject line, and let's just move down, and then I'm going to show you how to get to these same things using shortcuts.
Button heading level 2 testing. Button search for all messages with label inbox. Button remove label inbox from this conversation. Button search for all messages with label no label. Button remove label no label from this conversation. Clickable list with items heading level 3 mail.com.
So it makes mention to labels. That's how Gmail organizes its emails. And that is also a very accessible process. We'll dive into labels in the future video when we talk more about email management.
November 29th. Checkbox not check not start. Button reply. Checkbox not check.
Yeah, the checkbox to start.
Button reply. Menu button.
And then the option to reply. And
menu button, left submenu more.
the more button.
To me. Menu button.
Now the more button, let's start there. You can actually
List.
invoke that same more button if you turn off the cursor. So what was it again? NVDA and space. And we hit the period key, just like we did for the context menu earlier when we were looking at the emails in the inbox.
Dot. More menu button, expanded submenu.
And now the more menu is expanded, and we can go ahead and tab through.
Mute.
We have a few more
Filter message
options
like
in here than
add
we
star.
did before.
Mark as not. Mark as not. Forward all. Mute. Filter message. More menu button, left submit.
And we can also do a few more shortcuts once we've accessed. We got to make sure our cursor remains off. We can do things like R for reply.
R. Main landmark list. Take a little list mail combo.
Say we actually don't want to send this message. We can press Control Shift D, and we will just delete the draft and go back to the message we were reading.
Take a little list mail combo November 29th.
We can do the F key to forward a message.
FWD testing region table. That's easier city.
There it is. Let's again destroy this draft.
Take a little list mail combo November 29th.
We can use the A key to reply all. You can use the E key.
E conversation archive. Undo.
And that
Main
will
landmark.
archive.
Action done.
Let's undo that action.
Inbox. 2. Add list. Day. Unread. Google from you. Day. 2. Conversation open. 2 messages. All messages read.
You can use
List. Take a little add list mail combo Wednesday, November. Table. Blank. Clickable conversation.
the delete key, or I'm sorry, you can use the pound key, Shift 3 to
Number.
delete.
Conversation move to trash. Undo. Make Z. Action done.
And we'll undo that action as well. So as you can see, there is a lot of usability here. If it's not 100% accessible, I would say it's 95% an accessible experience. I use Gmail every single day. I have for many years. So if you have any questions about how to do something in the standard view of Gmail, please go ahead and leave a comment down below or send an email to delgadilloaccess@gmail.com. I'll have the email in the description here for you. And I will try and answer your questions in a future video. I do have a couple more in this series coming so that you can eventually watch them all together and be able to understand how to use Gmail in standard view by the time that HTML view is no longer supported in early 2024. So thank you so much for watching this first video, and I hope that you have learned something. And if not, let me know, and I will be happy to clarify. Thanks.
Stop share. All S button.